What's going on, everybody? C4, welcome back to the channel. I will say very quickly before we get into the kind of funny big news for the Philadelphia Eagles today. Had a Honey Hunters episode ready to go. It's already uploaded. I'm just gonna push it to tomorrow. It'll be out tomorrow afternoon. It is our Sun Belt Championship game because videos don't do particularly well when you upload them this quickly. And clearly, this is a reactionary day for the Philadelphia Eagles. Last time we talked, it was about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson returning to the Eagles. He just had his press conference. It was on brand for CJ. Happy to have him back. And we obviously have some other moves that we need to talk about. Big name moves, maybe more so on the Madden front than it is IRL. But we'll get to it. The first piece of business that we have yet to talk about is Jake Elliott signing a 4-year, $24 million extension. Make no doubt about it. With all respect to Justin Tucker, Jake Elliott is in that tier of like S-tier kickers. I think there's a bias, and arguably if you look at it, a non-bias argument. You see Jake Elliott the second best kicker in the league. That's at least a discussion that's worth having. I think he is, biasly. So, yes, the optics, Philadelphia has an expensive roster. We do have decent salary cap, but, once you pay your franchise quarterback, we have all these other guys on money. It is tough to be like, shit, we're also paying an elite kicker too. Like, usually that's the kind of positions when your roster gets a little stretched thin in terms of salary cap, you cheap out on the special teamers. Not the case, especially when they're as good as Jake Elliott. In my opinion, the best kicker the Eagles have ever had. He's already surpassed David Akers. And the fact that we got an elite kicker for the next 4 years is pretty awesome. On top of that, the fact that it's only a $1.9 million cap hit for 2024, that is very much a big win for the Eagles. Another thing in relation to the Eagles, man, they ruined the Tennessee Titans as Calvin Ridley is getting paid like the same money as A.J. Brown, and he's 2 years old. It's sucks to suck, Titan fans. It's the only way I can kind of bring it down. But the first big piece of news, and by the way, go give me a follow at PapaXC4 on Twitter. You guys have been actually crushing it from my little videos here where I'm reacting. Again, that's where I do all giveaways, mock drafts, draft content, live reactions. It's a good place to stay in touch with your 15th favorite YouTuber. But the Philadelphia Eagles have signed Devin White to a 1-year, $7.5 million deal. Now, as of still now, this is 4 o'clock on Friday. We haven't got the guaranteed numbers on that. And I honestly think as the guaranteed number roll, there's no way it's on the high end. This is, again, another, it's agent speak. Now that I think about it, we still don't even have the guarantee on Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. But, the reaction here, and I think, there's a casual name value that comes with Devin White. You think of the guy that was elite in 2020, more so elite in the playoff run. And I think it's still worth noting that player could still be in there, right? He's been a guy that's just been over-aggressive, gets exposed, doesn't take on blocks the best, more so his body type. He's a blitzer. He's a very one-dimensional linebacker right now. And if that 7.5, which is, that number itself is pretty, it's expensive for a guy that's coming off a couple down years. But if that guarantees 4, 3.5, 4, fuck, that's what we paid Marcus Mariota to be our backup quarterback last year. So if we can get a guy that might have a chance to either A, reinvent himself with a great defensive coordinator, B, understand that he's on a 1 year, this is probably his last year to show out, ball out, and try to get some big-time money, his last contract. There's a lot of upside. I think the upside gamble is worth it for Devin White, but also there needs to be a reality check that he has not been particularly good, and it'd be foolish and naive to A, not only assume that he's going to be bounced back, the change of environment is going to bring him back to 2020, and B, if Todd Bowles can't figure him out, and ends up benching him, it's foolish to assume that just because Vic Fangio is also a big-name DC that he's going to magically figure him out too. You want to be optimistic, right? You don't want to just shit on all the picks. You don't want to be a negative Nancy. But I think the reality right now is, generally speaking, there are a lot of people that are not that hyped about this move, which I think is the correct approach. Expect nothing, hope for everything kind of deal is, I think, the best way to view it. But if you can get past the name value, there is an opportunity here because the Eagles linebackers are so bad. My biggest thing is that we're all just doing assumptions right now because we have no idea how things are going to play out. But my assumption and worry is that signing this big name like Devin White, having Vic Fangio maybe pound the table, say I can fix him, having Howie Roseman always wanting to gamble on 4 first-round picks, guys with upside, which, again, we'll talk about another move that could be in the same vein, that they're not going to prioritize getting a young linebacker early in this draft, which the Eagles absolutely need to do. It's not a particularly strong linebacking class, but the top end of it, Peyton Wilson, as long as the medicals are good, that is my guy. That is a guy I want Philadelphia to target in the second round. You also have people making the argument for Edgerrin Cooper. Now, the thing with Edgerrin Cooper is, how does he project in the NFL? My pro comp watching him play, he reminds me in like Drew Sanders is a guy last year. He was like an athlete from Arkansas, formerly of Alabama, was recruited as a 5-star athlete. You have Baron Browning, also, ironically, both of them end up in Denver. These guys that are like, I don't want to say Micah Parsons because Cooper's not that type of athlete, but these guys that they're linebackers in every sense of the word. And I don't know if that's what Philadelphia needs, because if Edgerrin Cooper's a guy with his length and his intangibles and his measurables, is he going to be the guy that's going to develop into more of a pass rusher? I'd say there's worry there that he's going to still be a great player. I wouldn't be upset if we drafted him. We have a plan to develop him and utilize him on the defense. But I feel like you have an opportunity there that some team might want to try to develop him a little bit as a pass rusher, and we don't need that in Philadelphia. We need a guy that can cover the middle field. We need a guy that can erase the checkdowns, cover running backs, cover tight ends. Can that be Nakobe Dean? We know Howie Roseman's very high on Nakobe Dean. I don't know. We don't even know if Nakobe Dean can play a full 17-game season. And Devin White is probably not going to be that guy either. Like, that's what got him into trouble playing next to Levante David in Tampa Bay. Is like they just had him out there trying to get back to 2020, and it's just like, man, he gets picked on. And I think, and I would just be worried that Philadelphia is going to put all their eggs in the basket of this Devin White redemption, 1 year prove it, we're going to get him going, and then just ignore the linebacker spot again and end up with like Jeremiah Trotter, which is great name value, but I'm also just a little skeptical there. I think we still got to go high end. Philadelphia could find a way to get Peyton Wilson. The medicals check out, and then you have Peyton Wilson to Kobe Dean, and you can bring in Devin White as a blitzer. Hell yeah, happy with it. Devin White is an outstanding athlete, big-time athlete, that if Vic Fangio can find a way to scheme him, to let him blitz, don't have him out there all the time, learn from Todd Bowles' mistakes. I think it's incredibly... I don't know what the proper... I don't know how to say it without making it seem too, without exaggerating it, but I think it's incredibly naive, I guess, to assume that a great defensive coordinator, defensive mind coach in Todd Bowles couldn't figure out Devin White, but Vic Fangio for sure is going to, right? So, again, it just comes back to the signing itself, especially if we get the guaranteed and it's lower than expected. Hey, it's just Howie Roseman taking a flyer on a big-time athlete, and if we could use him as like a rotational pass rusher, use his strengths, get him out the field in clear passing situations, hell yeah, maybe there's something there. But if this turns into, like, we don't address linebacker anymore, we don't make a trade, we don't get one in the draft early that's going to be expected to come into camp and at least compete for a starting job, I defer to this picture. But if we end up prioritizing linebacker like we would if we did sign Devin White, and we use Devin White as a rotational guy and maximize his strengths and get him off the field when it was clearly it's his weaknesses, hell yeah, why not? That should work out. But on top of that, Aaron Donald also retiring. Shout out Jason Kelsey, Aaron Donald retiring on top. We have news here that Josh Sweat is also staying in Philadelphia. Restructured contract. I believe he got $10 million guaranteed to stay here as the what the hell are the Eagles doing for their pass rush continues to be very surprising. Now it looks like you can make an assumption Hassan Reddick is going to be on the way out, which sucks. Obviously a big-time fan favorite, local guy. It's been awesome since he's been in Philadelphia. I'd say there's probably worry that it's been this long in the process that the value, like third round pick and a fifth round pick is kind of what people are talking about for Hassan Reddick. And it's just like, there's no way. Yes, that's the nature of the business. Veteran players that wants more money, you're not going to be able to get that second rounder that a player production wise he's probably worth. But it's just one of those tough pills to swallow, knowing that 10 sacks, automatic 10 sacks. And clutch plays, fourth quarter sacks, is going out the door. And there's no chance in hell we replace that with a third or fifth round pick, which is, it's the nature of the business. Is there a way Howie Roseman finds a way to just have, unlimited surplus in the pass rush and keeps Riddick and keeps Josh Sweat and keeps Bryce Huff and Nolan Smith. And then you have Devin White, hopefully, as a blitzer. And then you got Milton Williams' breakout season loading up. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, there's a chance, I guess. Technically, right now, you look at these Eagles depth chart, there's a chance we literally have the most disgusting pass rush of all time. And if we do due diligence, we prioritize linebacker, we have Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Slay, a lot of moving pieces still there. Who knows? But Josh Sweat is staying. Questions is still out for Son Riddick. And lastly, Quarterback factory. The Philadelphia Eagles. I believe we're trading like pick 98 to move back 20-some spots. Essentially, that's the meat. We move back 20 spots mid-round to get Kenny Pickett. The quarterback factory. I don't know, Kenny Pickett was an Eagles fan growing up. That's always cool. I mean, it's a meme within itself right now. I personally would have been fine, especially what we saw in the preseason last year, going with Tanner McKee as our backup quarterback. Especially like that's why we drafted him like 6th round, and he looked like 6th round pick, made the roster, looked decent in preseason. Like, isn't that what you want in a backup quarterback? We go and get a guy that stylistically, if you don't think McKee should be our backup because he can't run the ball like Jalen, we go and get another. It is what it is, but it's the quarterback factory. We're gonna get him obviously cost controlled for Kenny Pickett. Might not outright make the roster. It's just again, it comes down to the fact that they will always prioritize backup quarterback, regardless of if we as fans don't want that amount of investment behind Jalen Hurts. We are also a team that you say that we've enjoyed the fruits of having a good backup quarterback, maybe more so than any other team. Now, is Kenny Pickett a good backup quarterback? That's another discussion to have. Clearly, there's some talent there. Probably should have never been drafted in the 1st round. Was an incredibly weak quarterback class. But I also saw enough of Kenny Pickett to say, there's some good. There's definitely some good there. Maybe a backup quarterback, a step back, no pressure. But it's just one of those I don't know. It's you gotta embrace the meme here, And I know someone in Philly you could have Kenny Pickett with his small hands. You get Uncle Jack there. If you don't know, go watch Always Sunny. But I don't. This is what I want to get the vibe from you guys. I have no idea how to. There's only so much you could feel about this move because clearly, firmly, Jalen Hurts is starting quarterback. It's not Carson Wentz is shaky and we drafted Jalen Hurts type situation. Very much quarterback 1, quarterback 2 hierarchy is established, but it's one of those things where I don't know. It's weird. It's just a weird classic quarterback factory type move. That's the only way. That's like the only thing I can spit out of my mouth about this. Maybe someone else there in the comments, you have a better, more articulate way to view it, but it's one of those just sure, why not? As long as this move doesn't cost us, we come to pick 98, which we originally have, and say someone's perfect there, and we end up just looking in hindsight at the draft, the difference between our original pick and the Kenny Pickett pick, and then that could be the argument someday of well, we would have stayed there, we could have got this guy, but instead we got fucking Kenny Pickett as our backup quarterback. But I would say for me personally, as long as the money, because he's going to be a little more expensive than McKee, the money that we paid Pickett doesn't prevent us from another move. Let's just hypothetically say Justin Simmons comes back, says, hey, that number I was coming out was too expensive. How about instead of 15 mil, we do 13 mil? And then Philly goes, fuck. If we didn't do Pickett, we could afford that. Now we can't afford it, sorry. Kind of like a Bradbury, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson situation. That's the only way this would be stupid to me. But definitely want to hear what you guys think about the newest member of the quarterback factory. But that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sure, obviously, with Reddick news, Philly's still going to be aggressive, I think. Until Justin Simmons gets signed, the hope is always there. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. We'll be back tomorrow with a new episode of Honey Hunters and then hopefully a rebuild on Sunday, as well as reacting to any other news that happens this weekend for the Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you guys very much for watching. It's always first time stopping by. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out. Love you. Have a good one.